I'm going to do Leetcode 75 sort colors. We're given an array of integers, for example, this one here, and basically there's three kind of colors. So each color is given a number. So really, if you want to solve this problem, all you care about is whether the number is 0, 1, or 2, despite them 0 being red, 1 being white, and 2 being blue, but that doesn't really matter. We don't care about the numbers. So basically, we want to take all the number zeros and move to the left-hand side of the array, all the number choose to the right-hand side, and leave the ones in the middle. So it's basically reordering the array to fit this pattern. Now to approach this, I'm going to use pointers. So I'm going to keep a pointer to the next position of the 0, which, let me see, I'll call it I. And it's basically where the 0 should be, the next one. And then I'm going to make another pointer to, at the end, that's going to be the position for the 2. I'll call it J. You can call it like 0 pointer if you're like more descriptive. 0, next 0 index, and then the other one next 2 index. And then for the middle, we don't really care. We're going to have like a variable to go through the array that we can call that the iterating variable. I'll call it K. And basically, we're going to go through the array and check whether the number is 0, 1, or 2. And depending on that, it's going to be, so if it's, for example, 0, what is going to happen is, if I see a 0, I got to move it to the next position of the 0, right? So the position where the 0 is, the next 0, I'm going to take whatever's there and bring it to where I am right now so that I can effectively move the 0 there, kind of thing. All right. And then I'm going to do the same. If I see a 2, I got to take whatever is at the next position for the 2, which starts off right here in the end, bring that to the current position so that I can take the 2 and move it to the end. And then the ones is going to be in the middle. So let's see how we can approach that. So let's see. I'm gonna use a while loop because I think it's easier for me to think about it. And with the 3 pointers, like I said, I have the 0 pointer. I'll call it I. Next 0 index. If you feel comfortable, more descriptive name, you can use that. Then I'm gonna use J for the 2 pointer, and that's gonna be at the end, which is nums.length -1. And then we're gonna have the one that I'm gonna traverse the array from the first element to the last. I'm gonna call it K. And okay, and this is one is the 2 next to index traversing array index. And like I said, while, so we're gonna do while the traversing index here. Now the thing keep in mind is I could have gone through the whole thing up to the end, but because I have the 2 pointer that it's supposed to keep moving towards the middle point of the array, I'm going to use that as a condition for the K for the loop here. So K, as long as this traversing index is less than the index for the next 2, okay? And then we're going to get the catch, is it less than or equal to? And we're going to see, if you see later on, you do the debugging yourself. You're going to see that if K hits where the next index for 2 is, I still got to check that because that's the next, not exactly the last. So I have to have the equals there. Okay, so we're going to check. Okay, let's look at nums at the K. So if you do the simplification, everything, I find it easier to start off with the 2 and then do the other ones. So if that one is equal to 2, what we got to do? Okay, we're traversing the array, and I found a 2. So I got to take that 2 and move to the end. But before I do that, I have to take whatever's at the end and move to where the 2 is. Right? So where the 2 is num at K. So, right, it has to take whatever is at the end, which is at the J, right? And then at the J, I know for sure is going to be 2. That's why I didn't care to put this in a temporary variable to store it. I know for sure it's going to be the 2. And then because I did that, the position taken by the 2 has been taken. So the pointer for the next 2 has to move to -1 from that. So the pointer is the J, right? So J has to be now J -1. So J minus there. because j minus minus will be the position of the next two that I find. And else if you're gonna look at the k, okay, and let's look at the other extreme, which is the zero. If it's zero, we kind of do the same thing, right? Similar approach. Okay, I found a zero, but I need to take that and put to the beginning. But I got to take whatever's at the beginning there. I don't know what it is. It could be any number. I have to take that and bring it to replace the zero right now. So the nums at k will be the nums at I, right? Because now I is pointing to the next location for the zero, which supposedly could be any number. So I'm bringing that number to the current position because I know the current is zero and I want to replace that zero. And then I'm going to go to the I and I'm going to know for sure that's going to have to be zero. Okay. And then because I do that, okay, I have to take the zero pointer and move to the next one, to the next position. So the zero pointer is I. So I got to do I plus plus there. Okay. Now, when I do this, I also got to make sure, because I already seen that position, I got to increase the k. You know, I'm traversing the array. So if I don't have the k plus plus anywhere here, it's going to be just a infinite loop. Why didn't I do the k plus plus in the 2 here? Because when I move whatever was at the end to the position at 2, I don't know what it is. So I still got to check it again. That's why I didn't traverse to the next one, because I could still be there in the next iteration to check if it's still a number like that could be, no, 0, 1, or 2. So I'm only going to do the k plus plus here. Okay? And then else case is going to be if the number is 1. Now, if the number is 1, I'm just going to go to the next one because I assume because of this and that the 0 has been moved to the left-hand side and the 2 to the right-hand side, that all I have to do is just skip the 1 and just do k plus plus to go to the next one. Okay? Now, you notice some people might like simplifying this and combining these cases because they have the k plus plus in common. So you could take this if all the way to the I plus plus and move it here. So you can do it like this. So the else case is either 1 or 0. But if it's 0, you just do that, the changing and moving stuff. And then, but you still do the k plus plus there. But if it's not 0, it's going to be 1 for sure. So, and you just do the k plus plus. So both the case for 0 and for 1, we'll have to do the k plus plus. All right, and it returns void. So by the time we finish all this, all the zeros go to the left, all the 2's to the right, and 1's remain in the middle. As you can see, this input, all the zeros on the left, 2's on the right, 1's in the middle. Time complexity of this should be of n. And for the space, not adding anything, just changing things in place, O of 1. Hey, thank you for watching. If you like this content, please consider making a donation so I can keep doing this for you. I'd really appreciate that if you could donate. All right, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.